Hey friends, welcome back to Mimi's Mixed Bag. If this is your first video of mine, I want to welcome you. Today I'm doing a little spring decor. It's actually Easter themed because the sheet of window clings I have are Easter themed. But if you've been in any dollar store or even the Walmart seasonal section, they sell these for every holiday and every season, and they honestly just get cuter every year. But what I don't like about them is they're really only good for one use, and I've tried saving them before, and there's just really no way to carry them over from year to year. Even though they're only $1, they're just so cute that I wanted to find a way to preserve them and where I could use them for several seasons. So I picked these Easter ones up at the Dollar Tree, and I had my son cut me a piece of scrap wood 12 by 20. This is not actual wood, it's just a piece of, I think MDF is what it's called. Or you could use some foam board. It would make your project even lighter. I spent a second $1 on a Dollar Tree fat quarter fabric, and then I want to put a beaded hanger on mine, and so I just happen to have a big stash of white beads. But you know, Dollar Tree does sell the wooden beads. You could paint these, or a lot of the colors here are almost identical. You could just use them as is. It just depends on the look you want, but I really wanted my beaded hanger to be just solid white. So I'm going to start this as like a two-part process, and I'm going to actually decoupage the fabric onto the wood and using some Mod Podge, or you could dilute some school glue. So what I'm going to do is unfold this. I may have to run an iron over this because it is got some pretty strong creases in it. It really made a big difference. I know the fabric's going to be pretty saturated with the decoupage glue, but I would hate to get that far into it and it not. So it's just a good thing to do before you get started, and it doesn't take but a minute. Alright, so I'm going to flip it over here and show you where my fabric is. That I'm going to have just about a little over an inch to fold around to the back, and I'm going to cut this big section off. And I flipped it back over correctly, and I did notice that maybe because this is a Dollar Tree fat quarter, that this is evidently like misprinted fabric. So keep that in mind if you are using this in a craft project that has maybe a design that needs to be straight. But luckily with polka dots I can fudge it and make it work. If it was some other kind of design, it may not. So my next step is I'm just going to take the Mod Podge and I'm going to paint the fabric under and over. Okay, I'm going to let this fabric dry overnight and I'll be ready for the next step. Hey friends, next morning here, and I'm ready to move on. My fabric is completely dry on my wood, but I've got a couple issues that I want to bring to your attention so that you will learn from my mistakes. When I drew out the size of board I wanted my son to cut, I used a marker, and when you wet a thin piece of fabric, a lot of times it almost becomes transparent, and you can actually see my marker line. So I've decided to add some trim or something to the project to kind of camouflage it. Just keep that in mind, that your pencil and marker lines will show if they are not cut exactly. My piece of scrap wood was brown, and I can tell that I've covered up a brown piece of wood. Someone just looking at it may not realize it, but I can. So I should have painted my piece of wood white, and it would have made my yellow a little more vivid, true color. It's not that big a deal, but if you use the Dollar Tree foam board, problem solved. It's already white, but I wish I had painted my wood white before, but it's okay. You'll notice that I didn't decoupage the outside edges, so I'm gonna flip it over here and show you that I'm just going to run a bead of hot glue and secure these rolled edges around. Now the corners, it's just up to you, the best way for you to fold them. There's a variety of ways as long as it's folded neat. You could do one side and then the other side. You could fold up just the corner and then the sides. Whatever way you find to make a neat folded corner, and then you could cover the whole thing with felt or burlap. And as much things as I do, I really don't worry about the back too much. But if I was giving it for a gift or selling it, of course you would want the back to be as neat as possible. Okay, after playing around and kind of dry fitting everything, I think this is the little scene that I want. I used everything but the large purple egg. So I'm going to Mod Podge under and over all of the window clings, let that dry, and show you what it looks like first. Okay, y'all, within an hour, my window clings were dried and just really secure enough for me to move on. I noticed that the decoupage glue does take the shininess off of the window clings, and they don't look near as plastic as they did. To finish it out, I'm going to hot glue some little pink rickrack all around the edges to cover that up. And then I'm going to hot glue or staple a little wooden ball hanger. I just strung up 36 beads and tied a knot in each end so that they wouldn't fall off. Just a little tip: when you are doing a beaded hanger, you need to always use an even number of beads, because if you use an odd number, that center bead is going to go on one side of the nail or the other and cause your picture to hang crooked. Right here I've got 36 beads. It's going to split right in the center at 18 each, and it will hang perfectly even. I'm going to get these beads and rickrack attached and show you what it looks like. Lack of a better place to hang it and display it, I just put it on my kitchen wall here. Like I said, it's super gloomy outside and I'm catching every shadow, and my kitchen walls being yellow, it kind of blends in. But with the pink rickrack, it almost gives a little vintage vibe, and certainly a great way to preserve those window cling graphics after you use them for the next year, or do this to begin with. So I hope you like this little project. Hope you find some cute window clings at any of the dollar stores and try this for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back next week. Bye-bye.